Gabrielle, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we have the privilege of coming to you to share great information about life, money, and everything else. You know, this topic to me is close to my heart because I have many elders in my family. We said, you know, it's important to give honor to whom honor is due, because honoring others, honoring our elders is consequential, and we'll talk about why is it consequential. But you know, because actually, I'll let you know, they've made so many sacrifices, they deserve to be cherished. And they have wisdom they would like to pass to future generations. But unfortunately, we live in a society right now where it's all about worshiping the young and the youth. And many times our elders are being neglected and also cast aside. So tonight, we would like to remind you that if you would like to know where you're really going, you have to be able to look back. And looking back is respecting and showing respect to our elders. So without further ado, I would like to thank you again for your patience. I would like to thank you again for liking, sharing, and letting your friends know that Let's Talk Money with Friends. We are on every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and we're here to serve you. So without further ado, why don't I give Gerda? Gerda, you are the first one on at 6:30, and now here we are. So please welcome and introduce yourself briefly so that we can dive in quickly into our conversation tonight about why honoring our elders matters.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Gabrielle, thank you for inviting me. My name is Gerda Malay. I'm a registered nurse. I also am currently a nursing instructor. So this topic is very important to me because I've dealt with the elderly population and our elders as well. So I'm very pleased to be able to speak on this topic and meet everyone here at the table. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Gerda, for being here. And why don't we go with Gracienne? Why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for again a great topic. My name is Gracienne Jean-Pierre. I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I'm the owner of JP Health and Wellness, which is an online and offline practice. So honoring our elders. I have a saying, my mom always say that if you understand the past, you understand what the future going to be. I think the elders are wisdom. They have the path. So we just have to tap into it. So I can't wait to dig into this topic.
Yes, thank you so much, ladies. And why don't we have John? John, please say hello. You've been on the show before.
Hello, everyone. This is great. You know, you talk about the wisdom of the elders, but they also are a lot of fun. They have the greatest stories. They have life experiences that don't exist anymore. Yeah. You know, they really are a treasure.
Yes, they are. They are. And you are a treasure to me, John. I've known you since what, 2011. I think that's when I met you. John is an EA, as you can tell. I'm also an EA, and John was one of the first president of the EA, National Association of Massachusetts Society of EAs. And he got me to volunteer and do so many things because he was someone that I really had a lot of respect for. And I don't see Miss Natasha has been having, she's not on camera right now, but why don't we start with our conversation, and then when Dr. Natasha, when she gets on, we'll include her in our conversation. So yeah, why is it important? Because I know we've been having that conversation offline, like saying elders and elderly. So can you guys give me an explanation as to what is the difference between elders or versus elderly or elderlies? Gerda.
So for me, you know, I speak on my own personal experience. I have an elderly mother who is 87 years old, going on 88. And I refer to her as elderly because she is totally dependent on myself, my care, our care, mentally, physically. financially. So for me, I see her as elderly and also as my elder. She's my mom. So that's kind of why I definitely categorize her under that elderly status. But I've also taken care, as a nurse, I've taken care of the older population, geriatric population. I don't categorize them as elders or elderly. I think it just depends on the circumstance and the situation. So for me, the difference is if a person gets to a point where they're totally dependent on care, like I said, mentally, physically, then I consider them as elderly. And like I said, it's just my own personal experience with my mom.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was reading that article online, and I think I shared that article with all of you. It talks about words matter, and it's so important. Like when we think of someone, that's what the article was saying, and I'm buying into that train of thought as well, because it says that when you think of someone as elderly, you think somebody who's weak, who's fragile, who has really nothing else to offer, whereas an elder are wise members of our community. Would you agree, Gracienne?
Definitely. I agree with both of you in that sense that an elderly, when I look at it, is mentally, physically, spiritually, that person is just at their end. That's it. An elder, I'm thinking more of a person that has all that is still intact, and they have this wisdom within them that you could feel it, you could taste it, you could hear it as soon as you see them. They love attracting the younger to mentor and to shape us into what we want to be if we allow them to do so.
Yeah. And it also too, they had mentioned, like, John, I know we've had that conversation. They say an elder is someone who hasn't stopped learning. They still have a lot to give to others, but they still have a lot to take in for themselves. Is that something that you would be in agreement with, John?
Yeah, when someone talks about an elder, I think of someone who has a spirit and has a passion. And as I'm listening to this conversation, I realize that I'm associating elderly with someone who has given up. And I'm thinking more of the spirit and the mental condition of the person, and not really the physical attributes of the person. So I think that's where I feel a responsibility to make sure that my elders aren't elderly. And it's all about just touching base, contact, and it really is socializing. If someone is alone, they can be depressed, and they can lose hope.
Correct. Yeah. Now, Dr. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry about all the hiccups that we've had, but I know we were talking about it before I tried to go live, and we had the issue. Do you feel like when we think differently in terms of we treat people that we've seen as elders versus elderlies differently, like the treatment that we give them? I know you just honor someone recently.
Yeah.
Do you see her as an elder or
Yes.
elderly?
I just ordered my mom, and I think she's both in this case, because if you think about her age, she's a senior, I would like to say, and because my mom has been like a great leader, a community organizer. My mom used to be my teacher, and she has formed a lot of great men and women in this society as a teacher. So I think I honored her as an elder too, because she has a lot to teach us, and she was a great role model. I'm saying that not because she's my mom, and it's also for everybody else who, and I can name your mother too. You just honored yours. I think they had the same birthday or the same weekend celebration. So may I share something, right quick?
Sure.
Which I shared with you in private, and I want to share it with the world right now. My mom is not an easygoing person. She's not an easy person to deal with. And I can understand sometimes some kids who give up on the parents because they got tired, they don't know what to do, they don't know how to deal with it. My solution for that, or my saving grace for dealing with my mom and loving her, give her all the care and tolerate her and honor her every chance I get, I said, you know what? When I was a kid, when I was a baby, when she gave birth to me, I don't think I was easy on her. And she did not give up on me. So because of that, I think I owe her to return the favor now.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to share.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Natasha, because actually that's leading to our next question. Because I wanted to kind of emphasize the fact that when you have someone you see as an elder, you see someone who's wise and has something to offer to you and to society at large. But when you see somebody as elderly, as most unfortunately society usually sees someone who's older, oh, this is someone that I can put to the side. Let me put them let me put them, let me cast them aside.
Which is a mistake because they have experience. They have a lot to teach us.
Yeah.
I think they're the best teacher ever because they've lived it before us. So
yeah,
I think it's a
definitely.
mistake.
So going back to what you were saying, what are some of the challenges when it comes time to honor our elders? Now you just mentioned your mom is not easygoing. What are some of the challenges you can think of, Gerda, that has made it very difficult? Now we're talking about elders, people we see as elders that we respect. What are some of the challenges?
So for me, it's the culture, I think. Sometimes the culture shock. I wasn't born and raised in Haiti. So being Haitian American or, but raised Haitian, I always make a joke and say, we grew up Haitian, So I think a lot of times it's the culture shock that, the way I see things now is not the way my mom sees it. Like I can agree with Dr. Natasha, my mom was very difficult. And for her, it's they have certain ways, but for me, I find like for me, a lot of the challenges was just the culture shock, just not me being on the same page with her. So it makes it difficult.
Yeah, but at the same time, to some cultures, they do respect and revere elders a lot more than others. So what are some of the challenges? You being 100% American, John, what are some of the challenges that everybody is somewhat in between, either born here or was born elsewhere? But what are some of the challenges you've seen?
It really is what Gunnar was saying. I mean, we've all been dropped into a different time slice in a different world. I remember sitting with somebody who got a message when the phone rings, it speaks, and it said that she was getting a phone call from a wireless caller. From her perspective, she heard what she expected to hear, and that was a call from Wiley's Corner, because that's the village that she grew up in. And so, when we're with the elderly, we have to understand, no matter what their background is, what is their historical perspective?
Yeah.
Good point.
That's a good point. But I had a young lady I was talking to about this show, and she sent me a question that I would like to ask you, Gracian. She said that, can you still, because we talk about the challenges, can you still honor an elder who has in the past mentally, physically, or emotionally abused you growing up as a child? Because when we think of elders, we all talking about our parents, but they are grandparents, they are people in the community. You have friends who are, from church who might be elders that you are looking up to. But can you still honor folks who have been abusive to you in the past?
I think that's where it's come to forgiveness of yourself first, and then forgiveness of that person, and communication and listening. I think because you have to, I'm taking this in context from an example that I lived through, is that I had someone in my life that was the person was not kind, but the person, as an elder, the person has a lot of wisdom. But I had to really understand, sit down and communicate with that person to understand why they did certain things or why they did not do certain things. And when you look back at history and when the person is talking, that's when you find out that they themselves, because when someone treats you bad, they also was treated bad in the past. So
Right.
it's to come to the place where you forgive and start from a point where you show respect to each other and find that point where okay, this person has some wisdom in certain things, but yes, they had some other problem. But it's just not throwing them all because they did not treat you good in the past. Because there is something there, but it could have been something that happened to them in the past.
Yeah, you have to be able to empathize or to have sympathy for where they've been. But at the same time, to some people, unfortunately, do have a hard time. Would you, Natasha, Dr. Natasha, so many have a hard time honoring parents, honoring, because, like you said, you just said that because you reasoned that my mom had to sacrifice a lot, right? To be able to raise me. So therefore, I'm willing to do the same thing now. But what about, again, the question she wanted me to ask tonight is, if you have someone who's been physically, emotionally, or even sexually abusive to you in your community, in your environment, in your family, would you see that person as an elder that you want to honor? Because again, we say giving honor to whom honor is due.
You know what? Being in the mental health field, I'm not going to give you like an easy answer because people react based on what they think is best. Sometimes, me personally, I was beaten. My mom wanted me to be the best child in the world. I was an abused child. If I grew up in America, believe it or not, my parents, both my mom and dad, they would be in jail for life. But did they do it because they hated me? Or like my beautiful lady said earlier, there's a culture there. There's a way. That's what they know. That's how they know, and they think that's what the best for us. And when you think about it, for example, when we were like teenagers, they don't want us to go to any parties, no slumber parties, no sleepovers. We won't do anything. Church, school, the
Bible
house.
studies.
That's it. We don't do anything else. But the minute you sneak out, the minute you jump over the window and go to a party, something wrong happens. So I would, like I said, being a mental health professional, I am not going to judge them. I am not going to, yes, I was hurt when I was a kid, but at the same time, when I wasn't beaten, when I wasn't punished, I had the best mom ever. I had the best dress, the largest cockade ribbon in my hair. So she put me in the best schools. Nothing was too beautiful or too expensive for her kids. I don't know if I answered your question, but this is my point of view.
Yeah, I hear you.
I can barely hear you. I don't know why.
No,
The volume is very low.
Willie, the volume.
It was okay earlier, but now I
hear
can
me
barely.
fine though? Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No volume, Dr. Natasha. But I wanted again because the idea of honoring our elders. Now I know, Gerda, you have to leave. So before you leave, I would like to ask you the next question first. In terms of like, what have you done? How have you honored your parents? Now that we know that we have to forgive them, have similar stories, and we have to see them as people who are valuable, who have wisdom, whether they're parents or teachers, elders in our environment. What are some of the ways have you honored either your parents or elders in your community?
Well, I'll speak on my parents or my mom. You know, we grew up in a single parent household. So I appreciate and honor her every day. And my successes, I am the woman I am today because of my mom. And just her being there for us and just being strong. I get emotional because we grew up poor. We grew up with nothing. And like Dr. Natasha said, yeah, it was a rough upbringing, but she did it because she wanted the best for us. And I remember just growing up thinking, you know what, I'm going to get out of this attic apartment. I'm going to live in my own place, and my mom pushed me. So for me, I honor her every single day. I make every effort to go and see her. Obviously, I have my own life, whatever, but, I speak highly of her. I've been in numerous conferences. I give speeches. My mom's name always comes up. God first, but her name always comes second. So, and I appreciate her, and I will always appreciate her. And she knows it too. So, and as far as the elders, I wanted to touch base on what Gracienne said. It's hard. Yes, we should honor our elders, but a lot of times we've suffered or been through a lot where it's hard. Like, I believe in karma. So I will always respect you, but I might not speak with you, but I respect you and I honor you. You know what I mean? And my elders. But as far as my mom, yes, always. I always honor her and treasure for everything that she's done for us.
Yeah, as you were talking,
May I say something?
Give me 1 second, Dr. Natasha. As you were talking about your mom, I literally always thought about how I wouldn't be the person that I am today. That's why I go above and beyond to make sure my mother knows that she's important to me. But going back again to something that you said, there are people in your life who are elders, who are older people in your life that it's hard for you to honor them because they did not sow the right seed. So right now, it's been very difficult for them to reap the harvest. If you haven't sowed the seed, it's very hard for you to reap the harvest. That's why we say in honoring your elders. But I do believe, like you said, elders have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility to sow the seed so that when we become elders, we can be respected as such. Dr. Natasha, go ahead, and then John, I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, what I wanted to add, think about it. We have a bunch of great things, beautiful things, nice speech to say about our seniors once they're gone. Once they're no longer there, once they're dead, we remember all the qualities, all the good stuff. And I think it's hypocritical because sometimes we spoke about that, Miss Renee. Some people, they're going to abandon their parents in the nursing home, not visiting them. And then the minute they die, you're going to have the best funeral, the most expensive funeral for them. Listen, if there's one thing I'm going to tell you to remember tonight, offer them the flowers while they can still smell
While they're alive. Yep.
Wasn't the one making it? Someone wiser than me came up with it, and I love it so much, and I practice it every day. Okay, so I told my mom, listen, I remember when we were fighting over my dad's funeral, my mom said, oh, I know I'm not going to have that problem because Natasha will be in charge of my funeral. I told my mom, listen to me. Don't count on me to spend a lot of money on your funeral. Whatever insurance money you're going to leave behind for me, it's to pay for my debt. But while you're alive, I'm going to make sure that you have a great life. You're happy. You have everything that you can, as much as I can, as long as I can afford it.
Correct.
That's
Thank you, Natasha. Definitely give them roses while they're able to smell it, right?
Yes, yes.
I know, John, you are men of a particular age. You are, I believe, our here. Well, how do you feel about that? Do you want your children to give you your flowers while you can? And also, have you done the same thing for your own parents or elders or those who are considered? I mean, we all have elders, whether, your uncles or your parents, I don't know if they're still alive, or anybody who's older than you that you have respect for.
It's not the possessions. They'll still linger after someone's passed. It's the time. And that is the element. That is the gift that you can give the elderly. And when you're doing that, you're showing your kindness and sincerity And, you know, to spend time with the elderly or the elders is ask them questions.
Correct.
And you know what that does? That lets them talk, maintain their dignity and self-respect, because whatever they're going to say it from their perspective, and you know, think of moments that they're proudest of or things they remember most fondly. It really isn't about the gifts of the materials. It really is the gift of yourself and receiving the gift of the elder person also. It's just spending time together. When someone has passed, what do you miss? You miss spending time with each other. So
Correct.
do it now.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta come back. Thank you so much, honey.
I will. Thank you so much. It was nice seeing everybody.
Better.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
I'll
you.
see you again. I'll definitely come on again.
Thank you, honey. Yeah, you know, John, time, because
Yeah.
you know, flowers are nice. You buy clothes, you buy gifts, you know, birthday gifts and stuff. But I mean, how many children are sending flowers, but they don't make a phone call? Or like, for
Well,
example, my mother, I said all the time, my mother is a church woman. That's what she likes to do, and for her, that's all she wants to do. But you know what? I get her to do other things.
it's not about delivering or having shipped an iPad with pictures on it or music. It's actually sitting down together and building the photo album together, or downloading the music together.
Yeah.
You know, it's those intangibles
Yeah.
that are so important.
I have a quick story because I'd asked, you know, if you guys have a story. I have a quick story. My mother, like I said, church, every year she invites me to her visitors day at church. So I go because I know that's important to her. She has 7 of us. If we all could go every Sunday, Saturdays, she goes to church on Saturdays, she'll love it. But unfortunately, we are all over the place. But I make an effort every year. She has those special events, I'll go. But I think it was like 2013. My brother was in California. He was a Marine. He was in the Marine. He was stationed in California. So of course my mother had to get on a plane to go visit him. And we're going there. Guess what? My mother flew 6 hours to San Diego, and all she wanted to do was sit there and cook for her son. All the Haitian food that he hasn't had for years. She wanted to cook, and I'm like, nope, we're not flying all the way to California to sit there and cook. We're gonna visit Hollywood. She's like, Hollywood? Why? I'm like, the rich people, that Hollywood side, we're going there. Oh my gosh, she fought me. I kid you not, Dr. Natasha, you can understand. She fought me, John. Like, I'm not going. I'm here to do this. Oh, I have to do this one. And I'm like, no. And guess what? Long story short, my mother still talks about that trip to Hollywood. She still tells people, Gabrielle's so crazy. She took me all the way to the top. We drove all the way to the top of that sign. And she still remembers that because for her, it would have been, let's go home. Let's go to see him and sit there for the week. But going back again to, do you spend time and you incorporate them into your lives and do something fun? Do you have any fun stories, Gracian?
Yeah, you know, for me, my mother is 85. My mother is young. She never liked to say she's 85. She was over. We live in North Carolina, so she came from Florida, and you know, her husband died about 3 years ago. So she was dressing in a nice dress, and she said, "You know what? Still have another boyfriend. You know, I'm not done yet." So with my mom, it's just she's very funny. She is animated. She is life because she never see herself as being old.
Yeah.
And don't talk to her about cell phone. She loved the cell phone. WhatsApp is her thing. She's always sending people messages to WhatsApp. And I like what John said about spending time because how my mom learned about WhatsApp is from my little cousin. She would sit with her and show and say, "Grandma, let me show you how to get on Facebook." Just do an account for her for Facebook. You know, at 85, she has her Facebook, she has WhatsApp, and she has Instagram.
You know what? John is so right about time. You know why my mom prefer to hang out with me than my brothers and sisters? Because I don't wash her. When she's getting out of the car, she's 75. She's a young kid. But, we have a long story of arthritis. Even me at 25 backwards. Yeah, Gabrielle was at my birthday party. I just turned 25, but you have to read it the other way around. So when I go out with my mom, I don't wash her. If she needs 2 minutes, 3 minutes to get out of the car, I will wait for her. She will take her time. When we go to the mall, wherever we go to the restaurant, I never wash her. When I go out, when I'm hanging out with her, that's her time. And when I have sometimes she wants to go out with me, I'm like, Mom, not today, because I got a million things to do. Today I'm working. I got to run like a chicken without a head. We're not gonna do that today. Let's schedule it for some other day. So that's why I'm her favorite hangout buddy. I do not wash her. They need their time. And think about it then once again. When we were a kid, we just studied to walk. They did not wash us. They took the time and wait for us to put one foot before the other and learn how to walk. So I always refer to that. When I see somebody being not nice with the parents, being impatient with the parents, washing the parents, yelling at their parents, I'm like, remember, they gave birth to you. You were defenseless. They took care of you. If they were that, if they were washing you or they were that bad with you, you would never be here today.
Correct.
Some kids, I remember I'm not going to say the story because my circle of friends would know who that is. Some very highly educated person is ashamed to show her parents because they don't know how to read. And that person is a very well-known person and very well educated. But who paid for the school? Who made sure that you went to school, you had food, you were well dressed to go to the best schools every day? Those same person who don't know how to read and write. You can't be ashamed of them. I'm so proud of my mother. Some episodes, sometimes I'm like, she said, oh, you turned the way you are because of me. I'm like, Mom, you can take all the credit for that, because when I was growing up, sometimes I really wanted to kill myself. I really wanted to die. I would pray to God to kill my parents because they were too hard on me. But now that I'm a parent myself, remember, there's karma. Whatever you do to your parents, your kids will do it to you.
Yeah, that's why I say treating, honoring them is consequential, right, John?
What we're talking about here is really the circle. And, what we're saying is it comes around. And what we did with my mother is we would get in the car and we would go look at flowers. And you can look at flowers and trees any time of year. So we found a place that had this beautiful daffodil garden. And that's one of the things that kept my mother active, was that she would then research and try and find gardens for us to drive to, or neighborhoods that were loaded with flowering trees, or some yard that just had like a beautiful bush.
Yeah.
And, it's just doing things together.
Yeah.
And
doing things together and being fun. And it really did. Like this weekend, I was with my mother, and she's like, oh, can we get on the bus? But I wanted to drive. But I'm like, it's all about her today. She said, let's get on the bus to go hang with her friends to that party. Let's get on the bus because her church had a bus. We could have driven to the party, but I said, let's get on. And it was such a great time. When we got back, she's like, you see, you guys had a great time. I said, yes. But I remember saying to my friend who is like, we don't want to go in the bus. I'm like, no, today it's all about her. I'm just like following direction. So sometimes I agree with you, Natasha. You have to humble yourself and have humility and have respect enough to know when it's about you and when it's all about them.
But it's like Dr. Natasha saying how someone was once patient when she was learning to walk. When someone was a little kid, somebody had them look at the flowers and smell them and go, check them out. Or when someone is little, you take a little kid on a bus ride. What a thrill that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know we ran out of time or we behind schedule tonight, but I wanted to ask a question because I know, John, you work in financial services and taxation. And I know some of the challenges that some of the kids are having, and hence the reason why it's hard to honor and even respect parents is that many parents, I was reading something online, I believe it's what's the study? I'm not sure where I got it, but it talks about how there are 89,739 folks in America living over the age of 100. So we are living long lives. With that comes a lot of financial obligations, right? So what are you supposed to do? Going again to sowing the seed so you can reap the harvest. If you are someone who want to be respected and honored as an elder, what are some of the ways you can protect yourself financially or with holistic health, financial, mental, spiritual, so that you can get yourself ready so that you can position yourself to have a great life and have your children not be running. I remember when I used to work as a financial advisor, this lady used to say, it's one thing to be a grandparent, to be coming to the house and the children are saying, he's grandparent, because they know you're going to bring something versus you to ask for help. What do you say about that, John, since you are in the field?
You got to treat them like they have a future. And that, they have, it's one thing in taxes that I try to work with is to make sure that someone doesn't owe a lot of money, that they break even. There's no sense of getting huge refunds for an older person. But let's make sure that they don't fall behind. And take the time to explain their tax situation. And it may take me more time to explain it. And I may have to sit there for a while for them to digest what I just said, or for them to think of the question. So part of it is being patient. Part of it is also laying out a plan and making sure that I check in with them more than one time a year. That, we stay in contact throughout the year. Because they may have think of something or have a question and, they got to ask me when they think of it. They may not remember.
Correct. It happens. I have this show that I follow online, John. It says My Dad and Me. It's on YouTube. I've seen it. This gentleman who's taking care of his dad who has Alzheimer's. I don't know if I'd mentioned that, or dementia, one of those. And he and his wife decided to have dad at home versus at a facility, right? Or like a nursing place. And the question, because he has dementia, the question that's asked mostly all the time is, do I have enough money? Do I have enough money? Am I carrying my weight here? Do I have enough money? And the son is saying, yes, Dad, you have enough money. You have plenty of money in the bank. You don't ever have to worry about money, Dad. So how do you feel about that? I know you just mentioned your mom has insurance, and you know that insurance is going to be left for you and your siblings, of course. But why is it important for parents and for those who are taking care of themselves while they're able to make sure that they have holistic health, financial, physical, mental, and spiritual health taken care of so that they can get ready when it's time for them to be a dependent or like an elder, that they don't become a financial challenge to their kids or any other type of challenges? What do you say about that, Dr. Natasha?
Okay. Before I say anything, let me remind you, in our case, immigrants,
Yeah.
We came to a country, or usually in my case, my parents brought us here. And when they came empty-handed with a suitcase, right? And they had to start over again. They had to learn a new language. And my mom worked at a hospital for 35 years, and she passed way past the retirement age when she could finally retire. And she could finally retire because us kids, we fought her. We said, no, you cannot be doing double at a hospital at your age. You cannot be waking up at 5 a.m. in the middle of the snow to go to work anymore. She would keep on going and going because that's one of her fear. She didn't want to become a burden for her kids when she's no longer able to work. So thank God for, in my case, like I said, my mom was an educated person. Not everybody gets that chance. And she learned the system of the country. She integrated the system. She did what she had to do. So in many cases, many of our elders or elderlies, they can't say that. They definitely became a burden for the kids. And in most cases, the kid, because the kids had to work to take care of that parent and enslave that parent, that grandmother becomes a full-time babysitter without a paycheck. She doesn't have a life. Remember, she already raised you. Now she has to raise your kids. She doesn't go anywhere. She's confined in the basement, taking care of your kids while you are at work full time. Your husband is at work full time. So then again, I'm talking from an immigrant perspective. So we need to educate our seniors when they come out, or the youngsters, the young kids who know the system. Force your parents to take a life insurance. Tell them about myself, health insurance. Talk to them. Call John. Call Gabrielle Renee to educate you guys, to educate your parents, because it's going to be beneficial for both of you in the future. Because if not, you're going to end up taking care of your family and your parents, and that's not a light task to tackle.
That's true. I think my relationship with my mother in particular is so much easier because of the fact that she's independent in all the ways, you know. And I think, what do you say about parents who came here, maybe immigrants? That, I mean, I've had calls from people who've been here 40 years and they don't have a life insurance policy, and now they're like they're trying to figure out, how am I gonna pay for my funeral? That's when their kids now have that responsibility. I know someone who died at 52, and her daughter had to borrow $20,000. So the show is not about insurance, but the show is about how you can financially be responsible, whether it is with your taxes. Don't owe money to the IRS and have it be a situation that your kids have to deal with. Actually, during 2020, somebody passed away and she left like over $200,000 in IRS debt. You know what happened? Whatever she left behind for her kids, Uncle Sam took. So yeah, John, you're doing a great job by making sure that they don't owe any money. But what would you advise someone who's looking right now, who's someone, you know, I came here when I was 13, but listen, I may look 13, but I'm no longer 13. So I may feel 13, so therefore I have to get ready. And I knew, you know, by getting an education here, that I had to get certain things in place. And my mother, who came here in her 30s, she heard everybody saying, listen, you got to own a house. You got to do this. And she went and did that. So what about those who hear and saying, like, my promised land is going back home for immigrants, so I'm not going to do anything here. And guess what? They get stuck here now because going back home is not an option. Or someone who is born here, but they're either wasting their monies, God knows. What do you say to those people, Garcian?
You know, I think that's go back to honoring your elderly. It's having the courage to sit down. I think you having this show is a communication opener. because when you sit down and have that communication with that person, culturally, I'm talking because I'm from Haiti and I came here when I was 12 years old too, myself. So having that conversation, because I remember growing up and my mom, at one point, I remember when I finished college, she sat down, if I was the only child, me and her, my stepfather, and mom said, I'm going to start paying for life insurance and for long-term insurance. And that's why we had that conversation and she did it. And even though I supported her when I started making money, but she was the one who initiated that particular thing. I need to do that. And I think it's in our culture now, there's no choice. You cannot plan on Haiti to retire. You have to concentrate on what you have here in America. And it's important that to have that courage to sit down with your parents, I have that communication, and to have also for people around our age to sit down with ourselves and have that communication and say, okay, spending money on this or long-term insurance with life insurance and all these other things that come with it, because it's so important. Like my mom now, she already planned her whole funeral. She knows what dress she's gonna wear, what her coffin gonna look like. I mean, it's amazing that she did that, because it's going to save so much for me not to do this kind of stuff when she's passed away.
Yeah.
So it's truly important.
Also, allow me to add, that's a quote. It's something I want to say to the people watching us, especially our Haitian people. We have a tendency of not buying life insurance, thinking that somebody is going to kill us. I'm going to tell you guys, stop watching Lifetime movie. That doesn't happen in real life. No, because I know a lot of seniors, a lot of parents, but because I'm not too far from being a senior, a lot of people my age, they refuse to buy a life insurance thinking that their husband or their kid's going to kill them for the insurance money. Please, my dear Haitian people, because I'm going to say Haitian because that's where I get more of that vibe.
Dr. Natasha, you can say that in Creole. We bilingual here, except for John, who's in America.
No, I don't know. So I know we have a broader audience. En tout cas, moun haïtien yo kap tante, afin de sou acheter assurance de vie, ma ou pral tuyo, petit ou pral tuyo, ça c'est bagay nou gade nan Lifetime movie, si bon gade film sa yo, li pa rive nan real life. Mpa di li pa rive jamais nan real life, mais son bagay ki rive sou 1 million. OK? Donc, li pa prive ou même, c'est pour un bagay qui courant, le nou acheter life insurance, c'est service nou ren tête nou ren petit nou service. Quoi c'est bagay qui l'aide pour m'ta mourir, m'coucher dans glace, et puis pour petit moi fait GoFundMe parce que pas gen l'argent pour l'autre. Bon m'ta pour mourir, m'ta virer dans glace ça, m'ta péter goumé dans glace ça pour m'ta connaître que I'm dead and then my kids they have to go fundraise or open a GoFundMe account just so they can bury me. Please purchase life insurance. Nobody's gonna kill you. It's most likely never happened. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a peace of mind for you. You can rest in divine peace, and it's gonna be a peace of mind for whoever you left behind. That they won't have to look for the money or fight for the money, or you won't be a burden for them once you're dead.
Yeah. Not only wisdom, but also legacy, right? Not only wisdom, but the legacy, the financial legacy. I know I'm a person of faith. It says a wise man or a wise woman leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So
do a will. Make sure you have a will.
Yeah,
it's
behind for your children's children, because if you don't, that's when you not even remembered. And also to while you're alive, it's very difficult when you are in a you're vulnerable and you need help, especially financial help, and you have nothing. And you become, now your kids are working 2-3 jobs to take care of you. That's how you become the lifetime babysitter. And also to, you don't have the respect when you come to visit, again, remember as a financial advisor, you don't want your grandkids to be turning off the light. Grandma is coming, let's turn off the light. No, you want them to be cheering on and be happy because they know you come in. Do what you can. Gracian, were you about to say something?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add is, in our culture, there's a lot of fear, and you're not gonna die if you make those arrangements. It doesn't mean that you're gonna die. It's meaning that you are preparing for the future. Because I remember being at church, and my mom church, there was a pastor invite someone to come in and talk about funeral arrangement, long-term care. And the people were very upset because they thought they were gonna, they're planning something like that is fear that they're gonna die. So you're not.
Yeah, I'm going to say that because this is a segue to our last question for the night, and I'm so grateful for all of you, but we do have to say goodbye. They talk about the physical and emotional abuse of elders, right? When you don't honor, typically it happens. Sometimes it's your own children taking from you, abusing you, or sometimes it's because you are at a facility and the workers are taking advantage of you. There is a hotline, 800 number. They actually online when I was doing my research, they said, you know what? If you find yourself in a situation, you're an elder and you're being abused either by your kids or by someone where you live at, a facility like a nursing home or anything like that, you need to call 911 if you've been physically abused, right? Or you can call a hotline that's online. It's 800-922-2275. 800-922-2275. The reason I'm saying that is because one of the ways we disrespect our elders is through abuse. How can we, as a society, John, what do you say about that? I mean, like, what can we do to prevent elder abuse?
That's not a simple answer, is it? So much of it, there's so many untreated things. There's so much about the mind that we just don't understand. If someone has a physical problem, that we're pretty good at fixing bodies. But if someone brain isn't working the way other people's brains work, or if someone has some emotional issues to work out, that's really a challenge for us. And I think, I guess the place to start is that we don't talk about it enough. That for whatever reason, as individuals and families and friends, we're afraid to bring up the topic, afraid to admit it, afraid to identify it, draw it out. So I guess that would be the place to start, is to share and talk about these issues of of anger and
have conversations. I was saying, I think it was Gerda earlier, she said that, if you're a nasty person as a younger person, you ended up being the same thing as an older person. So if you deal with someone like that, it gets very difficult when you have workers who are overworked. They don't have much time to be patient with you. So that's why I think, again, going back to sowing the seed. If you want to be an elder who's going to be respected and revered and treated respectfully, start building those type of relationships from the get-go. Correct?
But earlier, what we were talking about were the elders who were still growing and still learning.
Correct.
And if you have a child who's not behaving well, you're going to give that child a chance to grow and learn and change. And we actually should be giving our elders a chance to learn and grow. They have that ability.
Yeah, because the truth of that, they said baby boomers, right? They have almost 70 million people between the age of 60 and 78, baby boomers. So you have CEOs, you have chief justices, state government, those people are in their elderly stage. It's very important that we find ways as a society to honor. Would you agree? Were you about to say something, Natasha? Because as I said, that was my last question, and I wanted to close tonight. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's funny that you came up with this because I had a discussion with my mom. I told my mom, "Who tell me what, Claude? You're such a difficult person at times. The last gift I'm gonna give you is not sending you to a nursing home because they would mistreat you badly. Because my mom sometimes it's not easy to deal with." I said, "Mom, I'm gonna keep you with me. I don't know who's gonna die first, whether you and I, but we're gonna stay together until death do us part." Because, but on another note, I want those workers or kids or whoever dealing with elderlies, think about when your time comes. How
Yes.
would you like to be treated? Would you like somebody to beat you up? Would you like somebody to starve you? And then those people, they're like bucket of knowledge. Treat them good so they can give you all the secret to go through life. They've
Right.
made it. I see elders or elderlies like golden, like diamonds. I
Yeah.
want their brain. I want their experience. I want every bones of their bodies, because it's like when my kids are, they're adults now. When they were like teenagers and they're trying to outsmart me, I'm like, girls, please. I wasn't born old, okay? I was your age once, and I used to do the same thing to my mom. So you didn't invent the book. So it's the same thing. So you're gonna get to that age too. Think about yourself. If you take a job, you said you're gonna do a job, you're getting paid for it, do it well. Whether it's for your parents, elders, strangers, you signed up for it. Do it well and think about karma. There's a time you're going to be 90, you're going to be 100 too. And somebody 50, somebody 40 going to be taking care of you, and think about what karma going to bring to your plate at that time.
All right. Your family, other people, because you treat somebody badly, guess what? Somebody might do the same thing to your family. Karma is what it is. It's consequential. So definitely, I would like to thank you all again for being on the show tonight. I wanted to have this conversation because I have elders in my family. I have elders in my life, my teachers, people that I'm going to be hanging with this next weekend. They're people that I've known since I was teenagers, my teachers in Cambridge. And I'm so glad that I've always shown them respect. As a matter of fact, growing up, my sisters who are 1, 2, 3 years older than me, I couldn't even look them in the eye, because we were taught, like, your elders, anybody who is like older than you, especially in families, because I think they wanted to set up that standard in order to protect you, in order to give you an opportunity to learn from those who are older than you. And we need to bring that back to our society, to really show a lot of respect, treat them kindly, spend the time. We say honoring our elders matters, because it's consequential. How you treat them will set precedent for how other people will gonna treat you. We have nearly 70 million baby boomers in this country. So listen, every single day we have people in our lives who are getting older, who are becoming older, and elders. We ourselves soon, some of us sooner than later, will be in that position. Whatever we do today is gonna set precedent, I said, for how they're gonna be treating us in the future. So thank you so much. I would like to say thank you to my elder, John, for being on the show tonight. John is awesome. Definitely. I would like to say to my sisters of equal age, Dr. Natasha and Garcia, for being on the show tonight, and also Gerda was on. Please go out, take care of your parents, take care of the elders in your family, treat them right, honor them. Yeah, it's very
And
important.
wait for your turn.
And if you're lucky enough.
All gonna go to that path.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Goodbye, everyone. It was a pleasure being with you tonight.
Yes, thank you. It's a blessing to get older, but you gotta do it right. Create the life you want in the future today.